Hello everyone, it's Natasa from Treasure Books. Have you ever wondered what you can do with plastic fruit netting bags? As you can see, I've wondered the same thing. I have been collecting these with the intention of one day exploring upcycling ideas and projects that I can make, and that day has finally arrived. I'm here to share with you all the things. I've spent the last 3 days madly creating and thinking of ideas, and if you have ever attempted to create with these, you would know that the options are quite limited, which is why I'm excited to share my ideas with you. Today we are focusing only on the category of junk journals and related crafts, rather than going into random projects like making, body exfoliators and pan scrubbers and gardening things, which by the way are all viable options, but that's just not what this video is about. This video is about pretty things. So let's get started. I'm going to start off with the project that surprised me the most. Actually, no, I'll start off with the most obvious one, and that is to use the net as collage elements. And you know what? I'm going to make a list as I go so that you can refer to it. Okay, really simple and obvious is collage elements, and as you can see, that's what I've done here with the first example. I've used it as part of my collage where I have all sorts of different materials collaged together to create, in this case, a journal cover. I started off with just creating on a piece of cereal box, and it turned into a full journal, which I'm about to show you because we have some more ideas on the inside. So this journal, first of all, was made using the same method that I demonstrated in a recent tutorial called Easiest Journal Ever, and these are the books that I made, and in fact I made a few more books, but I'm going to link that tutorial down below if you haven't seen it already. So now that that's out of the way, we can dive into this beauty. So as you know, collage is a technique that involves combining different materials together. So here we have book pages, cereal box, of course, the plastic fruit netting. That's what this video is all about. And then we've got fabrics, and then we've got burlap, and did I say book page? And in fact, this is another technique which I'm going to write down here, and I will discuss it a little bit later. So what you see here is weaving. So basically, I'm just going to write down weaving. So basically, we are weaving paper through the net, and you can just do so many, that can go in so many different directions. You can weave little pieces of fabrics or yarn, thread, all sorts of stuff, right? I'm just going to leave it as this, and I'm not sure how well you can see because we do have all sorts of different elements, but you can see one piece of book page here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here. So we have 4 bits of paper weaved through. And then of course the collage, and I have some holes punched here, and I have some hand kind of stitching and embroidery, and I have some stenciling. So, and I also have thread beneath this image. So when you look at this, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening, and then your eye just travels to all the different little bits. Doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It's a collage, and the purpose is to put things together in a meaningful way, meaningful to you, of course, and to tell perhaps a story, or I don't know, is this telling a story? It's not really, but anyway, it's just a journal cover. Let's move on. I just want to point out this little detail here. How cute, how cute. This stitching business, you can see, is just one piece of string that I went just stitching randomly. Have it here, have it there. Okay, I think the collage is quite straightforward. I do have a video, if you struggle with collage, a formula on how you can collage so that it makes sense, so that it's not like a bunch of stuff just thrown on a page, even though, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, now going into this journal, I just put it together very quick because this is, after all, the easiest journal ever. Well, not this, but the technique. Look at this, it lies completely flat. Anywhere you open it, I mean, that video was so popular, so you've probably seen it. Okay, here's another idea with the plastic netting. Again, this is all very straightforward ideas here. You're probably not going to see anything new. You might. Don't leave, because the next project I'm going to show you is the one that surprised me. All right, so this one is, we're gonna call it pockets. Here's my little list. I'm gonna put it up on screen later, so you don't need to take notes. You can just screenshot it. Okay, and then this, of course, is a pocket, and then we can go ahead and really put anything in there. The reason why I went for this journal is because it was close to me, and also because I wanted to demonstrate that these pockets are very, very roomy. So that's just something to keep in mind. Working with this material is that it's stretchy, okay, but it looks fabulous. You can't deny. So even if, let's say, I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper here, when you have a deep pocket like this, you shouldn't really have issues with it falling out, because it's, you know, it's quite deep, so it's held. Perhaps a shorter pocket, you might have some issues. Anyway, you can always paper clip it. Okay, I think it looks beautiful. What else do we have here? There's not much in this one, so here's another one. Again, something that you probably thought of yourself. It's like this is like a belly band, right? It's just kind of stretched over a piece of cardboard and sewn down, and then you can pop a little something on the inside, and it looks so nice, especially if like the color of netting that you have goes well with the whole thing. Okay, I think like black net, unfortunately I didn't have any black netting, and unfortunately it's all kind of bright and ugly colors, I have to say, like yellow and red, and you know, it's just not my kind of thing. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but I think, look at this. I mean, doesn't this is completely unintentional, and it goes so well together. All right, this journal has 6 signatures and a whole lot of pages that now I get to embellish and have fun with. All right, here's another idea. I mean, perhaps this isn't the most beautiful thing you've seen today, but it is something that you can do. And that's sewing and scrunching it up and sewing it onto the edge of the page, and it can kind of stick out, and you know. So we've covered belly band and sewing on edge of page. I'm gonna run out of space. I'm gonna have to like fill in all the blanks. One more thing that I have in this journal, and then we can move on, is this page here. I love how this looks, and I think I would have loved it even more if I continued over to this side. So this is giving me some sort of a marine vibe, and basically this is just, it's sewn onto a page. I love how this looks, I have to say. I love how this one here, not so much. This one here, oh yes, and I think it's got to do with the color rather than the way it's been applied. Okay, we can officially now move away from this journal, even though it's so pretty. Oh, well, I think it is. My intention was just to do a collage, and then once I did the collage, I thought potentially one of my viewers might be thinking, what is the purpose of this, apart from actually having a moment to yourself and doing a little bit of art and creativity. It doesn't have to be anything amazingly beautiful. It's not going into a museum. It's just stress relief and creativity and fun. Okay, but then you have this piece, and then you think, what can I do with this piece? You can file it away, or you can go ahead and you can make a whole journal. Okay, I'm excited to show you the next one. Now you're thinking, what could it possibly be? Oh, well, I'm excited because I went ahead and I laminated it. And the reason why I'm excited is not because I laminated it. It's because I was very afraid. The first sheet, let me start this again. The first sheet I put through the laminating machine, my hand was on the switch. I was ready, like it might catch fire, it might completely melt, the fumes might kill me. I don't know what is gonna happen, because this is, after all, plastic. This is plastic, and I thought it's gonna melt for sure, but I have to try it, and I did. And the most beautiful thing happened. Nothing happened. It actually came out looking so beautiful, and I've made things with it. I'll show you that in a moment. So this one I did very late last night, and let me tell you, I was excited, this is the last project I did. I was so excited that it worked. And if you want some ideas on what you can do with this, apart from what I'm about to show you, I have a video on laminating lace and all sorts of projects. Everything that you can do with laminated lace, you can do with laminated plastic netting. Let me show you how beautiful these looks. I mean, they look beautiful to me. They're nothing special really in the video, if I'm being honest, because you can't really see. Will this help? Look at this. Okay, this is what it looks like in real life. You see this? This is exactly what it looks like in real life. Here, too much reflection and you can't really, you don't know what's going on. So I think it looks gorgeous. Like just having, like when I did it, I thought, what am I going to do with this now? Like I felt so excited that it worked, and you know, now I have to come up with ideas. And like I said, I did it late last night. I did make a few projects with it. Look, I don't know, perhaps it's not very useful, but this can be like a dashboard in a journal. I think it's pretty cool. All right, let's quickly go through the rest. Look at this. Come on. You see what I mean? Is that exciting or what? And I purposefully left like these hairy bits at the end. And next thing I want to try, like I did a little bit here, but like scrunching it up and playing around with that kind of a look. All right, so some of the projects that I quickly whipped up last night, I'll show you in a sec. So I also made these little ones, and I was thinking I could make little pouches and sew them together, or they can be like overlays on a photo or an image, you know. That's something I'm going to have to explore further. But look at this. Ooh. Let's move these culprits out of the way. It's a little pouch. I created a little pouch, like I just said. That's the first thing that comes to mind. So basically, I took one of these and folded it just like this and sewed the edges and created a pouch. The flowers that you see up here is washi tape, clear PET tape, I think it's called, from somewhere, probably washi tape shop, I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it looks pretty cool. This is the very first one that I made. And by the way, very important thing that I need to say is when you cut into this, you know how when you cut into something that's laminated, if it's like paper, when you cut, it kind of comes apart. This, because it's plastic, it's fused. So you can cut it literally anywhere. You can cut shapes. This is my poor attempt at cutting out a heart. You can cut shapes and it is completely sealed. Completely, because this plastic is fused and melted into the laminating sheet. By the way, I had my window and door open while I was laminating because I have no idea, you know, probably a good idea to do so. Okay, this one here, just washi tape up on the top, just so it's not so raw edged. And then I have the sewing on the sides, and it's a little pouch, you know. And then we have, dun, 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 it's a bookmark. Just, you know, just use the edge. You can see here, I cut one sheet, just like so. So then I have a nice straight edge, and then I have this kind of a business. And, you know, there's plenty of things that you can go and laminate. So, I don't know, this might not be your thing, but it's 100% my thing. Like, I'm excited about this. I also, since I'm here, I wanted to show you some of my laminated lace projects. Perhaps, like I said before, you can do anything you do with laminated lace, you can do with these guys. So we have things like this, pouches with a closure. I think that would look pretty cool. Whenever I do a tutorial or a project, I like to keep a few samples just to have on hand. Okay, we have some windows here. We have this large bookmark with the nice little cutie patooties on the edges. And then we have some pockets over here. And what do we have here? What's this? Large pocket. Pretty. Oh, look at this. What is this? I bet it is a pouch. how many pouches must one need? I love this. Like, this just reminds me of, I can have my, let me show you my things that I have. I can have my pencil case, and I love all that business. And then I can have my 2025 planner. So I plan. I can have my other thing, that's my little morning mantra. I can have my commonplace journal, and then I can have my little pouch. Oh yes, with all of my stickers, like all these stickers that I keep in here for my planning. And you know, if you're in the planner community, well, I'm not, but you see this, it inspires me. This makes me very happy. All right, as I was putting stuff away, I was thinking to myself, why am I showing you this? And it's just, see, piece of lace laminated, piece of fruit netting laminated. I'm showing you this just so that you can perhaps get some more ideas on what you can do with laminated fruit netting or plastic produce mesh or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I think we can add a few more things onto our list. And I might put it here under laminated. We have a bookmark and we have pouches. And then you can also do something like this, cut out shapes and anything else you can think of. For photo overlays, for example, or journal covers. Here is an example of a journal cover. So it's a rather large avocado dyed, no, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I think it was avocado dyed paper. And then I have this piece of lace, laminated lace, as my journal cover. Okay, let's move on. And by the way, I have the cheapest laminator and the cheapest laminating pouches. People always ask me that, and I always think, doesn't everyone, like, is there different laminated pouches? Well, now I know that there are. I think mine are 80 microns or something. Okay, anyway, we're moving on to the next little thing that I did. Another really straightforward and obvious one, and that's just to use plastic netting as layering materials in making clusters. Okay, very simple. So I'm just going to write down clusters. All right, so just to give you ideas, I kept it very simple. Like I said, there's lots of projects that I want to show you, and you know, I didn't have that much time to spend. I usually like to have lots of examples, but in this case I only have 4. So I have burlap, and then a little piece of paper. You can't even see it, like this is paper. And then I have the plastic thing, mesh, and then I have a little bit of fabric and a little bit of some type of mesh, and again burlap and a button, and that's it. I just sewn on the button. Very quick, very simple. And this is the kind of thing that you can use in on all sorts of things, like inside journals, as pockets, on top of presents and gifts and embellishments and all sorts of stuff, right? And then on this one, I really wanted to keep it quite simple, so I wasn't using that many layers. I don't need to talk you through it because you can see it there on screen. And I was just repeat, you know me and my formula. Once I have a formula, I repeat it and just do it. This is the first one that I did, and I kind of wasn't loving all of the elements added. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, I mean, this really worked. The light isn't the best today, so the colors are not coming as bright as they actually are in real life. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. But what happened here is I had burlap and I had this gold fabric. Then I added this piece of paper. Then I added the mesh. Then another piece of fabric. And then another little piece of mesh. And then this circle. And then this circle. And then the brad. Everything is held by with the brad or paper fastener. I think this particular thing is called. And this one is just a little bit too busy. Sometimes when you add too many elements, they just don't work. You know, it's too much. So it's probably better and also easier to keep it nice and simple and just use just a few little pieces. What do you think? Is this the most beautiful thing you've seen in your life? No, probably not. I know. But let me tell you, working with this ugly thing is not easy. It is not easy to create beauty with ugly things. which is why I'm going to show you the next project, because I think it's beautiful and it's created only with ugly things. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. Oh, actually, yes, I thought I forgot to write on the list. Okay, here comes something that I'm calling JART. Okay, are you ready for it? Here it comes. JART stands for junk art. Okay, now I took all the junk I could find around me and I created a piece that might be a little bit useless, because what do you do with this kind of thing, but might be helpful in a way that it's going to give you ideas. And I think, like, for a school project, let's say, because it's all about, you see this, waste less, upcycle more. This is what it's all about. So I'll show you what I have. I'll zoom in later so you can see. First, here I have some packaging from an online order. Then I have a lid from a jar. Then here you can see junk mail envelope window. Then, of course, we've got all the netting. And then we have a rusted key, an old pencil from my kids, cardboard, a rusted paper clip. It's actually, like, I didn't rust it myself. It's actually really old. And also a piece of bubble wrap. And I have some masking tape. I have some staples. I have a button here just for a little bit of interest, I suppose. And then this fabric type thing here. And also this scanning barcode. It's not a barcode. What's it called? I forgot now. From a package from Amazon. All right. So lots going on. This is I'm thinking like a year 12 or 10 or whatever project at school for, say, the theme is save the planet or something. Okay, that's the kind of thing I was going for. I even have a little handle here because I'm gonna hang this in my I was gonna say junk room. It's definitely not a junk room. In my studio / art, let's call it art room, shall we? Yes, we're fancy over here. I am very, very passionate about recycling, reusing, upcycling. This isn't, I can't really say, I mean, some of these things can be recycled and others can't. Like cereal box, that could have gone into the recycling bin, and so could have this and this, right? But then plastic, it goes into different recycling with the plastic. So when you put them together, that's one thing you have to keep in mind. When you put these things together, nothing is recyclable. It ends up in landfill. Okay, so that is a big negative. But I'm not going to be making 100 of these. I just felt like making a bit of jart, all right? I mean, sue me if I want to make some jart. And I was also hoping to inspire along the way to demonstrate perhaps that jart is possible. But I think you already know that. All right, I need you to write me a comment now. Don't wait until the end of the video. But also, you can always leave me several comments throughout the video. But I'm really, really interested on your thoughts on this piece. To me, it evokes emotions of ugliness, but also kind of beauty, because it piques my interest. I want to step closer and observe. Like, imagine if this is hanging in an art gallery, which it wouldn't, but let's just say that it would pique my interest and I would like to come in and look at it and look at all of the materials, because there's so much to discover. Your eye will just, it's not something you glance at. You want to look at it if you're passionate about this kind of thing. And then the message, waste less, upcycle more. It's kind of a reminder, perhaps not to get rubbish that you have around you in your house and put it together and create jart. Perhaps it's a reminder to generally waste less and upcycle more. I'll stop talking now. So I'm just going to write over here, jart. I made this up last night. Is this, maybe it's a thing, I don't know. It doesn't have the best connotations, but here it is. In all its glory, you need to let me know. All right, let's move on. Here is the very first project that I made when I started sitting down with my lovely, lovely, lovely collection, and I was like, this is me. What am I going to do with this? what on earth am I gonna do with this? And then I went ahead and made it into a bow. This is how I make a bow. This piece is not long enough, but I made it into a bow. I might actually do a proper, I'll show it to you proper, but the idea was to make bows with it, and I'm not overly excited about this, which is why I only made one example, but it might be something that you might find a use for this. I'm not excited about it because you can use really anything to make a bow. You can use pretty ribbon. You really don't need to use this stuff. But I think it's not such a bad idea. So I don't have to love it. It's something that you can do with plastic netting. Okay, so how do you make a bow? By the way, I put it on this little, I mean, it looks pretty. You can't deny it. You can't say this is ugly. This isn't jart. This is a thing. Let's turn this. What is this? It doesn't matter. I've got like bits and pieces in here, buttons and all sorts of fun stuff, like little beads, and it's kind of like a treasure little bag with the waste less and upcycle more message right there. Okay, let's make a bow. This is gonna be real quick. So what I do with this kind of a thing, by the way, as you know, all of these nets are very different. You have some that are like this, and then you have some that are like this. I like to think of these as sleeves. I have some things to show you that are coming up. You can put a piece of ephemera in there, like an image. I'll come back to this. Oh, it can be a little sleeve for a journal, a little hat. Obviously, you'll cut this off. And then we'll come back to this. I don't know why I'm jumping ahead. Probably because I'm not excited about this one. You see, I'm like, nobody wants to see this bow business. But in case if you do. And also, this is another thing. It does, sprinkle its magic all over your craft room. So you grab a piece of anything. It doesn't have to be this. It can be a ribbon. And this is how I make a bow. Even though I have a bow maker. It's just easier for me to make a bow like this. Everyone has their own different way. You can even leave this longer, and then you can use that to wrap around and tie a knot. Okay, this kind of business. I didn't tie that knot very tight because I want to move on from this, but you can, it's not bad. It's kind of looking at it on screen. This is the true color, not this. Look how ugly are the colors today on screen. Honestly, I think the lack of sunshine, the color of the materials, I don't know. Okay, here's another way. So I don't know why am I showing you how to make a bow? All right, we'll put that over the top so you have a loop like this. Then you do the same thing with the other one. You want to kind of have them, even on both sides. And then you take another piece of something. You can take a little piece of a different color, and then you go pop that in the middle and wrap it around and tie a knot, and then you have the bow. And that's how I did this bow. But I just used some gold thread. It looks silver, it's actually gold. To try and attempt and make it pretty, and it does look kind of pretty. Let's move on from this. Boring bow. Boring. Actually, it's not. I shouldn't say boring. It's a thing that you can do. All right, since I was so adamant about the sleeve thing just before, I wanted to show you. That's exactly what I did on the sun is out now. Everything is looking so much better. Okay, so you can see I used this one. Look how pretty that. It reminds me of like a bride on her wedding day. Yeah, and yeah, you can see this. It's got a little pocket on each side of this beautiful. I left it as a pocket. It can just be an overlay, or you can do this. Okay, the downside of this, I think it's so pretty. I really think it's so pretty. The downside of this is when you're using something that has these sharp edges, sometimes, they get kind of stuck. So it's not, see this, I put it in easily, but then when I went to take it out, it got stuck over here. But, beauty sometimes can be painful. sometimes you just do silly things to look attractive and beautiful, like you wear high heels and stilettos. Remember those younger days? Or perhaps you're living them right now. Well, this is kind of the same thing. It does this not look pretty? You can't deny. So here's how I did that. A few different ways, actually. This one is higher quality and tightly woven, and then anything can go in there. Perhaps I can be fancy today and wear it as a glove. Hello, my dears. Yes, it is I. Or it can go on top of an image. This one is a white one, so I think it'll look fabulous on like a dark image. All right, there's that one. And what I did, you can see on this one here, I just sewed around. You don't have to, perhaps, but if you have very loose, I think this is the one that I used over here. The way that I did it is I popped my piece of cardstock inside, and then I took it to my sewing machine and I sewed down here, and then I kind of pull it a little bit and keep it in place while I'm sewing this side. And that's how I created kind of this pocket here. It's just looking at it, I'm finding it really inspiring, as opposed to the bow that I just showed you. So, you know, I think this looks really, really beautiful and is the way to go. All right, what are we gonna call this? We can say, I don't know, what do we call it? We can say like an image overlay. Let's say that, image overlay. So just think of, you put it on top of an image, and then you can go from there. You can just, it doesn't have to be like pockets. You can just take this and put it over an image and sew around, for example. Or you can have this on over an image or just a journal page and staple it up here, so it can be like a, you know, a bride. It can be a bride. You may kiss the bride. Mwah! Yes. Okay. So we'll call it image overlay, and we'll also say sleeve. Think of a sleeve. You put it on, you know, and then, anyway, I don't know. I'm just coming up with these sleeve and pocket. We do have pockets up here, but okay, what else can we do? Okay, next one is playing around with a theme. So straight away, of course, and I think I've already mentioned it in this video, it gives you a marine fish net kind of a vibe. By the way, this is a journal full of cardstock pages, pretty cool. And then I went in search of all the marine things that I have in my house. And this is, I don't have much because it's not my thing, kind of, I suppose. And this also, the reason why it's a tag shape is because this project started off as a tag. I was simply going to make a marine themed tag, okay? And then when I made it, I thought all this work, all this putting this chain on and then looking for things that go, and look at this, all seashells and, you know, just trying to make it look pretty. All that work for a tag? I think not, right? So the tag became a journal. Then I just simply glued the tag onto cardstock. I mean, like really thick chipboard that I stenciled, and, you know. Anyway, this video is not about this journal. This video is about the oh so ugly produce netting mesh, or what is the name of this thing anyway? And I think a lot of us are intrigued with this material because we're like, oh, I can definitely do something with this. But what can I do? Anyway, I'm rambling. Here we have a marine theme. Also, like 2 pockets here actually, because I stitched here. So something can go. Give me something pretty. What do I have? Something can go here, but you see, I didn't want to put anything in there because it takes away from the overall prettiness. And then something can go here as well, but I don't think it's in. I was thinking of maybe putting like a sticker of a fish or something, but I couldn't find a sticker of a fish, so I just gave up on that idea. Okay, let's write down marine theme, and this can take you, I mean, you can make tags, you can make journal covers, you can make anything you make, you can make marine theme or any theme from that matter. And you don't have to have, I would have preferred a blue net for some reason, even though really fishing nets aren't usually blue, are they? Or maybe they, I don't know. I know nothing about fishing or like fishing nets is what I meant to say. Okay, I think it's time to move on. What else can we do? Next, I want to show you something a little bit random, but really, really quite fun to make and good looking. Have a Mr. Plum and Miss Lemon are about to become one in the holy matrimony of the marriage. Oh, you'll make kiss the bride, and you know, all that. They are, what are they? They are keychains. They can also be tassels for journals, dangly things. So here's one up close, and I'm not sure if you want to bother with this kind of thing because you can use any material to make a keychain. You can make a keychain with yarn or with ribbon, like you don't have to use plastic netting. But since this video is about plastic netting, I'll show you what I did and how I made these little beauties, Mr. Plum and Miss Lemon. So we need one long piece. Oh, you know what this is? This is, I crocheted this. I don't know how to crochet. So I'm just going to write that on my list right now. Crochet. I don't even know how to spell it. I think this is how it's spelled. Crochet. I taught myself. Well, YouTube taught me yesterday morning. A very simple, I think it's called chain stitch. So what I'm doing here is I cut my piece. The more I work with this, the more fascinating I find it, I have to say. So I cut it, as you can see, I cut it. Now they're all different. Some are very stretchy and some are not so stretchy. This one's very stretchy. So once I cut it, I stretch it out like this. Yeah. And as you're doing all the stretching out, all the little bits are starting to fall off. They're not, it doesn't keep shedding for all eternity. These little bits, they're not the best for our marine life, which is a little bit ironic since I've just shown a marine themed journal. You know, if I had the power, I'd ban this. Just use something other than plastic, but I don't have that power. So here's a very quick, I'm sure you know how to crochet. I didn't. I don't even know if I'm going to remember how to do this right. I need to start off something like this and like this. Is this right? Help me. Oh, I need to look at that video again. All right, here we go. So we're starting off over here. It goes over the finger and then we make a little cross here. And then we go with this one over the finger and then we make a loop. We go with that one. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to link the video that I watched so that you too can become a crochet expert. And I think you also need a thicker one of these. So anyway, this is how we crochet. Now, I'm not going to obviously do the whole thing here on screen, but I crocheted this plastic netting and that's why I'm showing you. So now we have to take it through. So we go underneath. You really need a bigger one of these and then take it through and then again and again. So you see, I learned how to crochet this very, very simple, the simplest stitch of all, because I was trying to work out what to do with the plastic netting. So I'm definitely glad that I did that. All right, anyway, so you would crochet all the way to the end, which is what I did when I was making my keychains. But honestly, I don't want to bother with that right now because I'm filming. And then at the end, you just finish off by pulling off, you know, you only have like a little bit at the end. You just pull it through the loop and then you finish it off. And then you have this long crocheted thing, okay? And then what I did is I put it in half like this, you can see, and went to town just making stuff, just making little keychains. I have these, I don't even know what they're called. I found them at a resource rescue center. And I also keep the pen, you know, when pens run out, not all of them have them, but this bit here, it can be used as like, what are they called? I don't know what they're called. So if somebody knows, write it down in the comment down below. These are also on strings on hoodies at the end, right? Because then you have a little knot in there. You can see a little knot in there. Anyway, well, that's what those are. And then, yeah, I just added a few beads, because when you add something pretty to something ugly, it makes it look better. And that's just a simple fact of life. That's what I said in the last video. If you're not happy with the project, just throw a bit of gold at it. And in this case, it was silver and a pretty bead, and it upscales the whole thing. The fact that we've used this junk material and made like something that's pretty. I think these keychains would look pretty good on my keys. My current keychain, something blingy, is this piece here. It's just beads on a ribbon. My daughter made it for me. And it's like a little necklace kind of thing, but I keep it as my keychain. I think it looks beautiful. And then if I was to add, I mean, I don't need any more stuff, but if I was to take away this, which I won't because my daughter made it, it's much more special than this. I like this kind of look. Generally speaking, I like my keys to have something really bright on them, because when I chuck them in my bag and they can get lost, I can't find them. So it's something like this, or, you know, what I have right now, I can see my keys very easily in my bag. So anyway, that's just a random side rant. I think the main point of this section of the video is the fact that you can crochet using this. And another thing that you can do, which is what I did over here, this is one long piece of whatever this is. This can be a keychain as well. I like this long pieces for my keys. So okay, what is this? This is braided. So I just simply took, look at this. It looks a bit Jamaican, doesn't it? Look at this. It's just a braid. I took 3 pieces of plastic netting and braided it together, and I ended up with one long piece. And then I have all these things hanging off of it, like little charms. And you know, a lot of these were just, I start off with an idea and then I just build up on it. So I started off braiding, and then I thought, what am I now going to do? Now when you have this braided piece, you're like, okay, and now what? So, you know, grasping at straws over here. I think this looks pretty cool, I have to say. I'm quite happy with this. So again, I learned this, the next project I'll show you. First of all, I'm sure you haven't been collecting, you don't have this many. Anyway, what I was gonna say, these nets like that I've shown you before, they can stretch out quite a bit, even though it's only a small little thing like this. But when I cut it, like you've seen before, and then when I stretch it out, like you've seen before, you get this kind of a thing. And then I get another one of those and another one. In my case, I had red, yellow, and green. And then I went to town braiding. Another thing I wanted to do, and I didn't really get a chance to do, is to make one of these braids, just like over here, just like that. And then actually make another one and another one. So then I have 3 braids, and then I braid the braids. Yes. I think that actually has a name, like fish something. I'm not sure, but it's just, you know, it's just ideas that can be explored further if this is something that you like. I personally found it quite satisfying trying to think of it's challenge. I love a challenge, trying to think of how am I going to use this. Here's another thing that I made. I'm not particularly proud of this one, not at all actually. I just took a little piece and tied a knot just in there, you can see that, and hit it with this thing, and then I hung a whole bunch of stuff. So the idea basically is that it's like a little net, and then you can go ahead and hang things up with. So another thing that you can do, which of course I didn't explore and I'm not gonna because it's got nothing to do with junk journals, but you can use this as like in a photo frame, for example, like in between without the glass, and then you can make like something that you hang things off of, like earrings, for example. Anyway, you can find all of those things on the internet, and body scrubbers and pan scrubbers and all that stuff, like soap holders. Put bits of soap. I don't use soap anymore. I use liquid soap. I don't use those, you know, solid soap, but you can have, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. I don't know why I'm going into that. I was just trying to demonstrate how I was thinking this can be used to hang things off of. So I went with that idea. Maybe this can be something a little bit Christmassy, perhaps, you know. All right, one thing I forgot to do is to add to my list. So we did crochet, then we did braid. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Of course, I forgot to mention that this can be a journal closure. I think when I started braiding it, I was thinking, I want to see how long I can make the piece, and I wonder if it can be a journal closure without all of these bits and pieces hanging off of it. I think it would be pretty cool. So you can braid them, and then it can be keychain, a necklace. I don't know why you would, but you might wanna, I don't know. Or what did I say? Journal closure. Righty, righty, righty. Moving along, my lovelies. This one we actually saw in the journal, so we shall not dwell. This was my first attempt at like a belly band. I like that. Oh, it can be a little clutch. Look at me. I'm going out to party. All right, so we have the belly band. It's quite loose. Okay, well, let's not pretend, because it's very stretchy. It's very stretchy. It can be a belly band. If it's within a journal, it's okay. But if it's a standalone thing, perhaps you need... Oh, look at this. Give me like a little packaging idea for craft fairs and selling and stuff. Oh, this looks pretty. You see what I mean? This is how ideas generate. You just do whatever comes to mind. Doesn't matter how silly it may seem, because it might, just might, lead you to something profound, or not silly at least. Okay. Darlings, look at the time. It's coffee time for me. Okay, back from coffee time. I'm a little bit jittery. No, I'm just joking. I'm not that jittery. All right, here's another thing that I did. I did a mini kind of a tool journal. This is a real junky journal, because for the pages I used packaging, you know, that comes in like the scrunched up paper that they put in boxes when they're sending you stuff from Amazon or wherever. Started off with just a piece of cardstock, and then I sewn on red and green netting, and then I decided, okay, this is gonna go in a journal. I'm gonna make a little mini journal, and I have a button. Used a hot glue gun to glue that button on. It's a shank button, but I removed the shank, and here it is, just a little cute little project. I think it looks pretty cool. Just two pieces layered like that, like a little crisscross kind of a thing, you know. Nothing profound or nothing too different than the things that I've shown you so far, so I don't have anything to add on my list. Next is a little window. I'm calling this a window. I happen to have an image in the window, but you can just do, I'm thinking I have this piece here, and then you can just make a little window like this. Pretty cool. And that idea can take you many different places. You would need to sew or use glue that can glue plastic. So what I made, I decided, you know, to have a little image underneath. This is just a book image, or image from a book rather, and I made like a journaling spot. This can go in a journal. This can also be a beautiful journal cover. Just a piece of cardstock, and I use my die cutting machine to cut out this oval opening, and then I have my plastic netting and a book page image, and then I backed everything with another piece of cardstock. So it's like a journaling spot, or it can be a writing board, or you know, this here is just a throwing out ideas video basically, so that it can give you potentially some new ideas. I'm not sure. What do you think? That's pretty cool. I really like the look of that mesh over the image, but it's not covering the image completely, like you can still see the image. I think it's quite nice indeed. Another thing that I did that potentially isn't quite as nice And this I did before I tried the laminating. I actually fused it with an iron. So I fused a piece of the netting in between cereal box liners. I have a video that I'm going to link down below where I play around with all the projects that you can make using fused plastic. And in that video, I was using plastic bags and also these cereal liners, cereal bags that I wash before I use them. And okay, so that video is going to be linked down below. It's going to give you more ideas if you want to go down this path. So basically, I have my cereal box liner, and then I put in my net, plastic net, and I did this, and I had baking paper underneath and baking paper on top before I went ahead and ironed it with the windows open and door wide open, just to be on the safe side because of plastic fumes that may be emitted. All right, so am I satisfied with the final result? You know, as you can see, not so much, because these are only the 3 things that I did. When I first made this one, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I don't mind the look of this. This can most definitely become a little something. It's very satisfying. Let me just say, I mean, I'm sure you can tell. If you're into all the things that I'm into, you'll be into this. It's quite satisfying. Maybe even like cutting out shapes, which is what I attempted here. That's a bit of a fail. Didn't really like that one, but you know, it's just a little thing. I'm not gonna not show it just because it's ugly. And then I had this one. I don't know what I was attempting to make this into. As you can see, I've sewn around. I've cut around, and I have this. I don't know, what can we do with this? What can we do? Maybe we can make a little pouch, a little pen holder thing. Just an idea that was floating in my mind that I thought I'm gonna try out. And will I be doing this again? You know, most likely not. But I most definitely will be using this piece in a project. What project? I do not know yet. So let's add this to the list. What should I call it? Let's say fused, ironed. And have a look at that video. Fused plastics, linked, it's in the description box. I'm gonna see if I have some other projects to show you. I kept a few samples of my ironed pieces of plastic. I did like a glasses case. This is ironing just plastic bags. All right, and what's this? Did this little thing? Let's hide this mark. What's this? Oh, well, did I make a little pendant? I sure did. Oh, what's this? Look at this, look at this. Earrings with fused plastic. Oh, how cool. Perhaps this can be used in something like that. And then just a piece. Just a piece. It's like a plastic cloth. It's quite sturdy, this business. Look at this, very sturdy. And then this can be like a placemat. Oh no, this is sturdy. And what else do we have? And just little shapes. Little coasters perhaps, and some hearts, and that's the plastic fusing business done. Perhaps this can also live in this folder, or maybe not. I really want to use it in a project. Oh, the sun is out. And the last thing I want to show you is this. I use this as tag toppers. You can see here. That was the idea I was going for. Tag toppers. How is this gonna look? I thought, and then I had to, of course, add some more on the tags. So let's write it down. So in all honesty, anything can be used as tag toppers. So many more beautiful materials like ribbons and fabrics and things like that. So, you know, it wouldn't be my first choice when I'm looking for a tag topper and I'm thinking, what should I use? My first choice wouldn't be plastic netting. However, if that's the kind of a look you're going for, what I'm thinking, oh, here's a little pocket. Look at this. How cool is this? It's a little pocket. So what I'm thinking is, wouldn't it be fun to make a whole journal just with all the plastic netting ideas? That was kind of, as I'm making the projects, I'm thinking it would be so much fun to put all of these ideas into one journal. So for example, this journal It's already got the plastic netting, and we've already got some stuff on the inside, and then I can go ahead and put this inside and pop this into a pocket, have this as a writing board. Look, it fits absolutely perfectly, like right there, you know, at the start or at the back of the journal. I have a little companion in there as well. I can have, I don't know, do I want this on there? It doesn't go. It's not too bad. This one, it's not gonna fit in the journal. This one's gonna be hanging in my executive suite, my office. What else do we have? We have a bookmark that can go in there, and we have some pouches and some little things that can go in pockets. And look at this. This one can be at the back of the journal, filled up with all the journaling supplies, stickers and washi tape, little spools, and I don't know, whatever else comes to mind. And then we have this one. I can have a little pen, perhaps a couple of little fancy pens, perhaps a couple of little fancy pens in there, like a little pencil case. Isn't it sweet? I'm loving this. I absolutely love how this looks on screen. And then we have these beauties. We can embellish the pockets and envelopes and that kind of stuff. Well, this is a standalone journal, so you know that can't go in there. The keychain. Anyway, I'm just placing things on screen now. A little gift with purchase, perhaps some of these in pockets. Then we have these in pockets or wherever, you know, and I don't know, little folds in the journal, like pages that fold out, little surprises. This one on here, pretty. And we have this little thing. I can't fit everything. I made a lot of things. 3 days. I started on Monday. Today's Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was crafting quite busily. And then all of these, I'm just going to pop them to the side, but I'm just showing you so you don't forget. We can do this. We can laminate. That's my favorite one. It's going to be my favorite one. And then the iron one. I think that is it. So what do we think? Waste of time or not a waste of time? I personally think it's not a waste of time, because this project has yielded some rather ugly things, but also some very, very beautiful things in my mind. I think this journal is gorgeous, and out of all the things, I think you already know that my favorite one, the one that gives me most satisfaction, is laminating. I don't know why, but my favorite project out of all of this is my jart. I love my jart. I'm gonna have it hanging. I'm looking around me now. I'm thinking, where am I gonna hang this thing? I'm looking around and I'm seeing, quite frankly, all the things that need to be cleaned, and spider webs in the corners of my ceiling. But okay, let's not look up, let's look down. Please, you know the drill. I need you to let me know what you think of these projects. Which one is your favorite? Is it something, did you see something that hasn't crossed your mind before? Is there something perhaps that you do with the plastic netting that I haven't done? Ways that you use it that I haven't thought of? Let me know in the comments down below. We can all share and care. Other ways that I've seen these used that's not part of my world, the junk journal world, is, like I said before, exfoliators. I'm not a big fan of that idea. Scrubbers for like cleaning stuff. Shove them all in there. It suds up very beautifully because of all this space in between. So when you put soap on it or whatnot, you get lots of, you know, bubbles. Good for carpet cleaning, stuff like that. Anyway, I didn't want to go into that because who wants to do cleaning? Not I. I propose to make crafting the new cleaning. That is what I propose. All right, so now I'm going to put this list. Maybe I should give it a heading. Here we go. Plastic net bag ideas by moi, Natasa from Treasure Books. Hopefully having this handy will jog your memory of what you've seen in the video, and you know, just keep those ideas coming. And also, if you have some of your own ideas that I haven't thought of, you have to let me know, because look at this, space. There's plenty of space where I can add extra ideas, so please make sure you leave them in the comments down below. I implore I implore. I feel like I'm just standing here all by myself, you know, in my craft room, talking to myself. That's what I feel like if I don't get comments from you guys. So that is all I had to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.